What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, but I should say another interview from Pink Tourmaline. And today you may recognize this gentleman here. This is somebody that I've actually made a video about on this channel, and people really seem to like it because it was an incredible video. This is Tony from Insights with Tony. And some of the testimonies that he has described and discussed on his channel have been utterly mind-blowing. Moreover, it it feels very authentic. It feels very sincere. It feels like the things that he's able to see and witness are getting us closer and closer to the truth of reality, the nature of reality, and ultimately give us I think, the ability that we're all seeking here, which is how do we achieve our own destiny with free will? How do we go where we truly want to go without being manipulated, without being pushed into a situation that is not truly from our own desires? So that's what this is all about. This is a big one. This is going to be a lot of material that we're going to cover. Make sure to check the timestamps if you want to jump around, but I can pretty much guarantee you that, and this is on the fly, we haven't even talked about anything yet behind the scenes. We're just jumping right in, so you're getting the real deal, a pure explorative conversation. But I can say with like 99.9% certainty, this is going to be a really, really important one, a really great conversation. So without further ado, Tony, welcome. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for the invite.
I really appreciate it. Now, for people that are not familiar with you, let's start at the top. And I believe I've heard in some of your videos that you're a teacher. Just tell me really quickly about your background outside of OBEs before we get into the OBEs.
Yeah, I am a high school teacher and middle school teacher. Well, secondary education. And teach everything from physics to biology. So yeah, that type of analytical mind. I was a church nerd or church brat, if you will, but yeah, kind of broke away from that.
Yeah.
And that's about it,
Fair
nothing
enough.
huge.
And I think, yeah, I would imagine that you would have, given everything you've seen and experienced, that the being a church nerd would be a vestige of the past. But one thing that we share in common is that we're both in education. I have taught before at a school, but my main vocation is I'm a math tutor, but I have a tutoring business that I've been running for about 13 years. And I think what's important about sharing that commonality is what we do for a living and for work is we have to explain things. We have to make sure that people are able to understand what we are saying. And I think I'd like to believe that that gives us a special place in this community. Definitely. Where hopefully we have an edge in terms of conveying this super, super, super important information. So yeah, it's very great that you have that background. Now, you on your channel, you've talked about out-of-body experiences. I believe you've had a lot of them. I want to know the details on that, but let me first start at the beginning. And for those of you guys who don't know the term OBE, that's out-of-body experience, when did you start having OBEs?
Oof. I'm going to say it had to have been maybe 2-3 years ago when I had my first one. And that it kind of, I was trying, to be honest. I could not believe that we live this life and then you try to make the best of it, you die, and then that's it. And even though I, believed in church and all of that, it just, something felt a little weird based on the fact that I'm who I am, but yet I'm sitting up here playing the keys and organ and I feel the way that I feel, like, ugh, And so, again, I am into music too. I don't know if I even talked too much about that, but I was depressed, man. I went through and I was experiencing sleep paralysis for practically every night. And I was tired of feeling scared, because when you feel it and you're like, I felt it coming on. It literally feels like an anxiety attack, a panic attack, except you can't move. And so if death felt like something, that's kind of how it feels when I have a panic attack, because I had anxiety issues when I was in high school and middle school mainly. And but yeah, every night, sleep paralysis. And so I just said, you know what? maybe I can try to come out of my body. I didn't know what I was doing and what to do. I just thought to myself, up and out, up and out. When it happened, and then I felt this and heard this sound, and I just went straight up. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going, because it was louder. It got louder and louder.
And did you just float vertically straight up, kind of type
yes.
thing?
Where I was looking was because I was laying on my back, right? And I kind of sit up when I sleep because of I had an issue with thyroid and all the issues. So I had to have surgery for that, but whatever. So I had to learn to sleep sitting up. And so I just sat up and slept. Well, sleep paralysis hit. Come on out. You know, that's what ended up happening, man. I was floating up to the ceiling. And it was just, I didn't know how to move. It was like weird. It was so weird because I was trying. I was like, I could see, and I could see myself floating up. And I didn't realize, though, that I think in that state, it was more so my consciousness itself was just like out. So without all of the etheric body and all the layers and whatnot, I think I literally projected completely. My consciousness itself was just I thought up and out, and I was going up to the ceiling, and I was about to hit the ceiling fan.
And this was prior to any reading of out of body experiences or anything like that?
This was well, I've heard of near-death experiences, and so that did pique my interest, but I never knew how. I never looked up how to actually come out. It just happened, I guess.
It's funny that you naturally said up and out, because William Bowman talks about these phrases, something like that, or now I'm out of body, or things like that. And I think the power of the word seems to be a significant theme in achieving these. Oh, and then since those last couple of years, how many have you had, would you say, now?
Ooh, pretty close to, I'd say pretty close to 100 and still counting.
Wow. Okay. So 100 over about, let's say 800 days, give or take. So you're having one approximately like once every week and a half?
Well, now I have them. So the first time I had it, after that, it took me about another almost a year or so. After that, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was thinking at a certain point, well, maybe it was just in my head. And then the gateway process, I started listening to that, and because it was more scientific, and because all of the spiritual woo-woo, just I need something black and white, something more objective. And so if the CIA was able to use it, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna use it myself. So that's what I did. And then from then, it was more like once every week or twice a week. That's my goal, is twice a week, but I pretty much land about once a week.
Okay, so you mentioned gateway, and that basically giving you a baseline protocol. And we're going to talk about more of that later, because I haven't told you this yet, but I'm going to gateway tomorrow.
I've been watching your channel. I know. Okay. I'm so excited.
So we're definitely going to talk about that, because that's literally happening tomorrow. And I don't think I'm not going to release by the time people are watching this video, because I'm probably going to release it later in the week. I'm going to be there, so I'm going to be doing that. But tell me, so you started watching or listening to the gateway tapes. What is your protocol now for going out of the body?
So the protocol now, I make sure that I get at least 5 hours of sleep. And so I know it feels like it's probably not enough at first, but I got to get the sleep out first and then stay up until I don't feel sleepy. Okay. And I think for me, that's what helps when I go back into the meditative state. I'm aware enough that anything that happens, if I'm coming out, or whatever, I can feel it. So I'll snap to, even if I fall asleep to a certain degree, I can just, because I'm within that REM, I guess, area. Okay. So that's the thing. I got to make sure that I'm awake, and I don't feel that sleepiness in the back. You know how that you get sleepy.
Sure.
If you feel that, it ain't time to go into meditation yet. But wake back to bed is to me, that's the easiest.
Okay. And then once you get to that point, are you closing your eyes, and then are you saying something?
No, I don't really say anything. I close I have my eye mask, and I just have that on, headphones, and the binaural beats just go. I use, now when it came to the gateway process, I did follow the directions at first.
Okay.
So he has you do different things, and it really does help. But after that, I just listen for the binaural beats, and I do look for like these little light blotches, and it kind of gives me an indication of when I'm getting ready to come out, because eventually those blotches turn into images, which means you're on the cusp of a dream and or lucid dream and whatnot. So if you can catch the image, you're in that sweet spot. But you got to be careful, because that's when you get all excited, heart start beating, and then the image goes away, and you got to start all over.
Well, that's exactly what's been happening to me. I get the images. I also get the vibration and the buzzing, and then sometimes it scares me, and then I feel like I have to move around, and then I move, and then everything seems to melt away. It's like when I move my body, it's as if I'm pushing myself out of that state. So I haven't been able to get into it yet, unfortunately. But then, okay, so coming back to your protocol, so then you start seeing the images, you're right on the cusp, and then you just will yourself out of your body.
Now I can feel myself coming out at a certain point. But for those that are just beginning, you're going to need to just concentrate on that image. But you've got to make sure that you are relaxed. Just kind of treat it like neutral, analytical. Just, oh, I see a tree. Great. And this, just keep peering into the image, and then it kind of sucks you out. Now, I will say this. Usually those that are beginning have a bit of help, even if you don't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. And what I mean is, some guide will literally take you and just, you'll actually feel yourself being rocketed out of your body. That's when I had the second out of body experience, when I felt that, when I was able to, I just went with it. You still have to relax, you don't get scared, and all of that. You got to work on the heartbeat, because that beat, it will suck you right back in. It's an electromagnetic field that that's what it's designed to do, keep you in the body.
Now, you mentioned asking did I hear you right? You said ask a guide to help pull you out.
I didn't ask. It just happened.
Okay.
So I'm assuming maybe an inner me or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But I didn't ask. It just kind of happened.
The reason why I wanted to clarify is because I feel like such a big part of your message is not to trust what other entities say to you, and just basically trust yourself. I feel like you've said that many times. So that's why I just wanted to clarify. So you are saying, of course, it is you that is in control, and that's how you want it to stay.
Well, the thing about it, now, let me clarify some things. When I first started, I didn't know to not trust anybody. I just went with it.
Okay.
But the main thing was, I wasn't scared. That's the thing. I was like, because every time you come out and you hear bump in the night, ooh, you just, that has to end.
Okay.
And even though I would come out in my room in consecutive and other out of body experiences, I was scared to even walk out of my room. So you just gotta, the fear, it's a literal veil almost. It's like, because you're scared. It's scary.
Yes.
But that's the thing. No, I did not start off with my current message, because I just didn't know. It was a journey, and then it brought me to where I am today.
So after you started having these more regularly, and you said you're doing 1 to 2 a week, when was it that you first started leaving maybe the area in your house or the area in your room and started having some of these journeys? Is as to what it sounds like, I think you described as focus 21 or 22 or 23 according to the Monroe nomenclature, but you basically start moving. When did you start going into these other areas, like the astral planes?
So the astral plane, so I started off in the etheric. It was maybe about, I'll just say, after I stopped getting carried out, I was able to kind of adjust where I went. I didn't realize I was being used for my energy. So what was happening was, I kept getting, every time I would come out, I'm getting grabbed and dragged somewhere. And I'm like, and I had no clue for what. All I know is I just knew how to cast light, and I was so excited. I mean, you got to watch my videos, Hutzpah.
I've seen the one where you talk about the light coming from your eyes, right?
Before that,
okay,
my entire being would lighten up, and I would literally I'm able to look at my hand, and it's a shimmering white, right? And then I could actually change the color by just thought. I'm just like, oh, red, and then it'll turn red or green or whatever. But of course, those colors meant something, and I knew red meant, root essentially, but it's like it can make you a bit more on the sexual side. And so if I touch somebody with that light, it would make them sexual. It literally would. Green would be healing. So if I wanted to heal something, I will just think green, and then that's what worked for me. Now I'm different with respect to the fact that I don't work off of feeling. I work just thought, which I think it has something to do with the whole source seed thing.
Let's actually talk about that. So that's a little bit later down on my list, but you brought this up. So you've talked about being a source seed, and that is, I think, if I'm saying this correctly, I think that actually it has some drawbacks in terms of being able to navigate, but it also has some major benefits. Like you can see that maybe I'm describing this right, I hope, but almost like you have greater discernment. You're able to see things for what they truly are. So what does it mean to be a source seed?
So a source seed means that the only thing that's in my 4D template, the energy source is just the spark. I don't have an overlay, which would be the chakras. So, and what chakras do is you can call them transistors. It's all electrical. It's all energetic. It's just that it'll split the light. And so anytime you split your frequency, your energetic frequency, it weakens the light itself. But it is able to be used by, you can use it yourself, but also by the construct or those that are over the construct. They have much more of a handle on people that have the chakras. And now,
can you describe what are chakras?
So chakras are simply it's a way to break down your light so that it's usable into them. I'm just going to say that's what it's designed for. Now, some people, they tend to worship the chakras and do all kinds of stuff with them, but it kind of helps keep our light usable, because they can't use straight up the white spark light. It's apparently too energetic.
Okay.
So what they'll do is they'll split the light using the chakras, and they all stand for something. Now, chakras, I don't really study them like that. I know root stands for something. I know the sacral stands for something. I mean, I know yellow. I know the colors, like yellow stands for self-acceptance and things like that. But on the back side of it, it means that if someone's having an issue with self-acceptance, chances are something's going on with that yellow, whatever one is. I think it's sacral. I don't know. Okay. If somebody cheats or loves to cheat on somebody else or whatever, or extremely sexual, then that's a root chakra thing, because that's red. It's down in that area. It kind of goes like that, Okay. But when it comes to just the source seed, it's just the spark. And I didn't realize that until I was carried out of my body one time. And I'm just like, okay, I always go limp for whatever reason. I just let them carry me, because I find it easier to relax, and not have a spike in my heartbeat, because otherwise you get sucked back in. And so we're going through this void, this dark area that's just black, and I'm looking like, And so all of a sudden I don't know how to describe it. I do something like this, and my spark just lit up. And then I was like, oh, and then I did it again. And it was literally the spark. And then as we were traveling fast, so the spark lit, but it was like sparkles that kind of almost liquid sparkles that kind of trailed off of me. Okay. But it was the source seed. So that's how I knew I didn't have any the chakras. But I mean, yeah.
Oh, how many other people do you think are source seeds like you?
I looked up the information, but I don't know how true it is.
Okay.
But according to the Google, and I looked it up on AI too. I was like, wait a minute, now what's the 0.1% of the population
Okay.
is a source seed. And then, of course, you have your sparks, which are those that have everybody has a soul, has a spark, but then you have those with the chakras that's overlaying the spark. Those are called soul sparks, and they are about 10%.
Now, so it sounds like if you don't have that overlay, which if I'm understanding it correctly, it almost seems as like a conduit of energy of sorts that makes the energy more usable, maybe by the Archons or whoever you want to call it. So would you say being a source seed is kind of like a glitch in the matrix, as if they made a mistake, or you were able to block the chakras? Is it something like that, do you think?
Honestly, I believe it was designed so that you have the soul, you have the source seeds, which are able to kind of disrupt the status quo. Otherwise, they would just run amok with capturing souls, and nobody would be free after a certain point. This is what I'm thinking at this point.
Okay.
But
So you're saying, wait, let me just clarify that. So you're saying they must be a part of the system,
yeah,
because is that like a higher level law saying, hey, it would be too lopsided if you didn't include some of the sort? Is it something like that where they must put them in, otherwise it would be too difficult to break
that's
through?
just what I'm thinking. I don't, because as you can see, people keep getting reincarnated.
Yeah.
That's just and as easy as people want to say, oh, all you have to do is just believe it and it'll be so. If you believe in a trap, it's going to be a trap.
Yes.
This BS. If a trap exists, it just does. And you just need to know what to do so that you won't get trapped. So, and even if you did, let's say that was true, and I created my own trap. Okay, well, now I know that I created a trap. Therefore, I know how to not get trapped by it. At the very worst. You feel me?
Yeah.
But
So you're saying ultimately, whether or not you kind of think okay, let's just accept that it could potentially be your own manifestation, but it doesn't really matter because you still need to know how to effectively escape. That's interesting. And then I think basically one of the people that I've interviewed on this channel that talks about this basically being a manifestation of your own thoughts, or maybe negativity or fear, things like that. That's Darius Wright. So have you looked into his stuff in particular?
I have. As a matter of fact, I purchased Darius's program because I was interested in trying to come out at will. But I ended up going back to Gateway because that just, for me, it worked. It worked a lot better. But anyway, I don't want to talk down on anybody or anything like that. But Gateway just worked better for me. So,
that's fair.
I did look into him. I just feel that it's a road towards. People have a misconception. So a lot of people think that when you die, you're just going to go into this place that's blissful, that's nothing can hurt you, and there's nothing like that. And while you can't physically be harmed, you do run the risk of being reincarnated, even if you really don't want to be, if you don't know what to do, and therefore that's why I've started going into the whole Gnostic texts, the Kabbalion, the Hermetic principles, trying to learn what are the rules of the game. So I'll know, okay, well, if I don't need attachments or something like that, if I should not have a belief system, then I'll know I don't need a belief system. Otherwise, it would get me trapped again. They'll just show Jesus to me, and then with the emotional energies that they're able to make you feel, they can make you feel all kinds of ways because emotions are energy, And that particular energy is specific for Earth because that's what keeps us kind of on the pendulum as well.
And I want to come back to these projections, or I think in some of your videos you've called them bots. But before we jump off the topic of Darius, again, I've had him on the show. He was very gracious to come on, and I think I'm not sure to what extent he knew all of my thoughts and ideas, but we obviously disagreed, but we still had a really great conversation. That being said, I think, like you, do think that perhaps there are some things that he maybe has the wrong idea about. That's what I think. That's where I'm at right now in my exploration. And I wanted to ask you, you're somebody that has had a lot of OBEs. I am not. He's somebody that has had a lot of OBEs. Why do you think, or how could you potentially explain why he's getting the type of information that he's getting and that doesn't line up with what you're getting?
Okay. So well, at first it was all peaches and cream as well for me.
Okay.
And then I realized when I asked for my oversoul, because I felt alone, I just felt like, yeah, I'm like, hey, come holler at your boy. I mean, I've been coming out a few times, as you know, I'm using my light. I had gotten a fight and everything. It was using this power, you know. I was like, ah. But then it just got very lonely and I thought I was alone. So that's when things took a turn and I realized, okay, the entity that showed up was not an oversoul. As a matter of fact, she lied and told me that she was some sort of a fire elemental, a red elemental. And I'm kind of like, okay. And then she asked me for my email address. And I'm like, what the hell do you need for with my email address? So I looked up what that was about. If you give them information or give them over something that belongs to you, that essentially is a contract in which would open you up for them to be able to use your energy and all sorts of things. Because again, they don't have a connection to me because I don't have those chakras. And on not only that, I'm a source seed and I can just kind of rewrite stuff. I'm learning. I'm able to do stuff in the astral plane that, you know, but whereas with him, with Darius, he says he obviously is only seeing the etheric plane when it looks more physical than physical and whatnot. That kind of thing is just, well, naturally your spirit eyes is going to be able to see a lot more than your physical eyes would be able to see. And therefore everything looks crisp and clean. Plus it's extremely close to, it's the closest layer outside of the astral, outside of Earth itself. It's the closest layer to Earth. So it's going to look like that. Yes, I believe he was duped. I believe, in fact, he was told something that he wanted to hear. I mean, for goodness sakes, he was about to off himself.
Right. And
the law of resonance says that whatever energy that you were putting out there, that's the energy that you attract. So there ain't no benevolent being gonna come to somebody that's on the verge of killing themselves.
Like, really, and
he was ready to. He said he was ready to do it. He had stuff on the side of his bed. So what they do is they'll give you a pacification system. We don't need him killing himself. Because he still has this body, and they probably could actually see his trajectory. If he doesn't off himself, unalive himself, then what is he going to do beyond that? So he makes that decision, and they could actually see him helping other people out of the body, but only giving them part of the information.
Sure.
Which essentially is still on track to being reincarnated. Everybody in that vicinity, as long as they continue to believe the truth of all things, which is supposed to be unconditional love. And it's not that message is wrong. It's that there is no explanation about what true unconditional love is. It is not the feeling. It ain't the kindness and all that everybody think you're supposed to be nice and all of that. That's wonderful. That's great. But true unconditional love we can't give that in this physical body because we don't have the capacity to. And it's not saying you can't be nice, but I am saying we don't have the ability. Physics, you just don't, because this body splits your light. It, even for a source seed, it's filtered.
You know what you're saying right now? It's so funny. It's lining up with something I was just thinking about the other day. Okay. We see this in NDEs as well. We see the message that resonates with us on some deep level. Hey, we need to be kind to each other. We need to be better. We need to. So it's and that's the part that tripped me up at the beginning. It's like, why are they giving these messages that seem correct, that seem true, and but then we're saying that it's deceptive? But that seems to be a contradiction. But I think what you're basically saying, and this is exactly what I was thinking the other day, because we see it happen in the real world. They're giving you the message that is actually at its core true, because that's a better means of deception. But isn't there potentially a danger when they're giving us the true statement? But I think what you're saying is they don't care if they give us the true message, because the problem is, while we're here, it is impossible to execute that message. So they're giving us the keys to the kingdom without showing us the door, where we have. Yeah, like I was just saying. And then you see that same thing kind of happen in this world, right? We see the same thing where maybe the news or the powers that be will give us these messages of positivity. Hey, the news is great. They always end on a positive story, or they tell us we should be doing the right thing or kind to each other. But it doesn't matter, because the system is set up in such a way that trying to execute on those big ideas is almost effectively impossible for at least for everybody to follow through on that, because the game is rigged.
Well, it's now let me back up. I don't want to say it's completely rigged.
Okay.
There is a way.
Okay.
But it's just not being taught, and they understand nobody's going to look that deep into it. All they're going to say is they hear love, and what they expect love to be is, just being nice and kind and, whatnot. But true unconditional love it's a state of being from your source seed. So your source, your power pack, your energy, your source seed is able to give off all types of energy, every type of energy there is that you can think of. Now, the trick to unconditional love is coherence. All of those wavelengths have to come together coherently, like as one set, synchronized, no friction, in other words, no interference. So that way it can move faster and faster when there's no friction and no interference. And what do I mean by interference? I mean the emotional pendulum swing. You get from happy to sad. Somebody's done you something, and then you get all frantic and whatnot. That's interference. Attachments, so much so to where, oh my God, I love my wife or my husband so much, I would step in front of a car, speeding train for them. If you would put your life on the line for somebody, then that means they are above you. That's an attachment. That's not, which means interference. A belief system. When you die and you see Jesus and you decide, and you already in your heart of hearts, you really believe that God, that specific Christ that everybody believe, well, not everybody, but a lot of Christians, or it could be Buddha, whoever you believe in, whatever the belief is, you see that person on the other side and you believe, truly believe that it's more, they are above you and you are the source. That's interference. All of those, and there's a bunch of, you can go through the line, but there's a lot that we have to understand. You cannot put someone else's life above your own. Why? Because your experience as the source is unique to the source. It's unique to you. Nobody can do you better than you. So even though my mama has her own source seed, she has her own experience, and it wouldn't make sense to bring you down here to earth to have an experience if all you're gonna do is just give it up for somebody else and who's living there. So I take it as a way to cut out all the fluff and all of the BS. What exactly is love? It is simply put, all of your energy is in one that is moving at the same rate. It's synchronized, one wave, even though it's a bunch of different energies, but one wave without any friction. And in that way, it can moves really, and things without friction moves extremely quickly, and
Okay.
you just out vibrate everything at that point.
And is this something that, how do you reach this state?
Removing, number one, removing the belief systems,
Mhm.
that's interferences,
Mhm.
removing attachments,
Mhm.
emotions. When it comes to emotions, yes, you'll feel it, but ultimately you have to take the true you out of it. Like, let's say, for example, somebody makes you angry or whatever, and you may feel it, or let's say better yet, let's say you're not feeling well, you're
Mhm.
sick. Okay, this is the physical, the avatar is sick, but
Mhm.
not you.
Okay.
Start to take yourself, separate yourself from this physical flesh,
Mhm.
and understand that you are truly a source, the source. You are an
Okay.
energetic being, and that's you how you can start doing that. Actually, yeah.
So so love is, and thank you for that explanation, because this is something actually that has been unclear for me, is what does that mean, especially when Darius has talked about what is this high version of love. I don't know if he ever explained it in any such way like this. So it's this idea, now we having this uniform frequency where everything is lined up, removing the attachments and all these different things that you mentioned. Is this something that we should aspire towards, to be in this state on a regular or semi-regular basis, or is that too tall a task to ask in this life with the food chain and all the chaos that's happening around us?
No. Start. I would start today, and I would say at least once a day, starting off. Just imagine yourself as the energetic being that you are, and not the physical.
Okay.
And everything else kind of starts falling in line after that point. You, this flesh can't do anything, and all other fleshes, it's an avatar. The love that you're going to have for someone else should come straight from the source, from you.
Okay.
And it does help to come out of the body, so it'll actually help you to actually see, to truly see who you are, what you are. But I mean, obviously it's not necessary, but not mandatory, but it does help.
And when you say it, and then also achieving this state of love or this resonance, maybe, is one way to think about it. Is this important in terms of us being sovereign and having dominion over our fate when we exit the body, when we
Definitely.
die, is what I mean?
Definitely. You'll it because eventually what'll happen is you won't have these, like, I like to think of it like this. You have this energetic body. You're trying to, you unconditional love, you're trying your best. But let's say you do have a bit of an attachment, even
Okay.
an attachment to this body as well. Some people don't ever want to leave.
Mhm.
And in that case, there is a section within your energetic field that is a little weak, I'm gonna say. That is where they can actually hook you in, or at least gravitate and kind of pull you back into the reincarnation loop.
Okay.
So they look for that kind of stuff. Then they can scan and see who what how you feel sometimes, and so you just don't want to have belief systems, and just make sure you are the ultimate person in your life, entity, period. Don't put nothing else and nobody, because you literally you got it, you're on your own. And I'm not saying that working together is bad. That's not, of course we need to help each other out. But after that point, when you transition, it's you are the only one that's going to be able to get out of that reincarnation loop. Nobody's going to be able to help you with it, because if they could, all they would need to do is just, all the matrix of the bureaucracy, all they'd have to do is just appear like somebody that you trust, and then you just go right there to them, just follow.
Which
That
is
kind of stuff.
basically, which is kind of what they do with the bots and the projections already, to win your trust. And that actually, that's funny that you mentioned that, because that was a question that I had later. Is there some way that we can band together or pool together? But you're saying, when it comes to that ultimate choice at that moment, you're saying no, it's that part, you've got to do it on your own.
Yeah, it's better to just I'm gonna say you have to. It's otherwise, it's way too, they know the rules of the game, you know what I mean? And because this whole amnesia thing, they don't expect anybody to look through the pages of real books and find out anything, you know.
Mhm.
And as a matter of fact, they I think that they hope that we don't. They just know it, you know. Most people, you see how many people Darius and all these other people have followers and whatnot. Ain't one of them probably looked at a book like that, like dived into it. And I mean, and that's okay as long as you're getting the right information. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I had to take it. I had to research this thing. What the heck is love? You know what I mean?
And you mentioned you've researched it. Where did you research it?
So I actually started with the Apocrypha and the Kabbalion.
Okay.
But some of it, because of the way that it's written, it can be extremely difficult to suss out the objective parts and the parts that they're trying to tell you, explain why. Okay. So in that case, I would then go to Google, and I'll even do Gemini and try to figure out, okay, well, what does this particular scripture or whatever, what does it mean? If I don't just grasp the concept, I ain't afraid. Yep, I so do look at AI.
Yeah, me too.
Why not? You know what I'm saying? It's there for us. As a matter of fact, it really does help to break things down. Like, you know what I mean? So, but
absolutely. And you mentioned the Apocryphon. I believe you're referring to the Apocryphon of John, maybe, or the Gnostic text?
Yes, but I've gotten into the James as well too. Okay. It's taken me a little bit of time but yes, especially with the security bots but anyway, it's a whole other topic.
Okay, well, I'll definitely have to do a review on the Apocryphon of James because I haven't done that yet. But I wanted to go back. So you brought up the Gnostic text, Gnosticism. This is obviously one of the places where we get this whole narrative of the demiurge and the system, some of the earliest discussions of this, and of course the Archons. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk to you about the Archons is I hadn't heard anybody else say this, and you said this in one of your videos, that Archons are souls that choose not to incarnate and that they have forgotten how to produce their own energy. Tell me about these statements.
So early on in my journey, that's when I looked up that type of the information. What are Archons? Who is the demiurge? And also, God, there was another book, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway, in this particular book, I'll have to get back with you and get you. But there was another book that I read, and they talked about, okay, Earth was essentially made by a group of individuals that were souls at a certain point, and they could produce their own energy. But I believe it was oh goodness, Cavacillus, I think was, anyways, it was basically
Oh, I think we may have lost. Hold on.
Hey.
Oh, Tony, are you there?
I'm here.
I think I lost you for a second. Okay, so you said you found this in a book. Something happened with the Wi-Fi, but I still got you. You said it began with a C, Cavacillus or something. You mentioned,
George,
and then
I believe his name is George Cavacillus. Starts with a K.
Okay.
And I was just reading through it's pretty dense, but ultimately it was a group of souls that started off with a spark and whatnot, knew how to make their own energy, but they decided to not incarnate for whatever reason, and started to, because they no longer can use their own energy, could make their own energy. They capitalized on other souls coming here and started to use their energy as a way of, I guess, making themselves being able to live in the lap of luxury or whatever. I'm just making that part up, but they're essentially using our energy to keep up the matrix, to keep the electronic grid, as well as the area over Saturn. That's, from my understanding, is where the headquarters of these individuals are. Now, are they the same archons that they talk about in the Gnostic text? I don't know. It comes close, but yeah.
And you're saying it's possible that they actually can produce their own energy, but perhaps somehow they've forgotten or it's been veiled from them or something along those lines?
I'm not sure about veiled. I don't know if they probably could if they're, I mean, but I think it's been just so long since they've been able to use it. Now, I don't really like to go into why something is like that, because I don't know. I don't know the reasons behind it. I don't, to be honest, when it comes to even Cavacillas' works, some of it I was just kind of like, okay, I can take it for what it is. But do I know it for a fact? I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know.
No problem. And that's what I was just made a video about this. The truest thing we can say in this life is I don't know. And I think that's really important that we do have to acknowledge that and say that when the time comes. As I mentioned before, I found you to be very sincere and authentic in all your videos. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Okay. Now, we've covered actually a fair amount of topics, but we still have quite a ways to go from my list. Next thing I'd love to get to is in terms of your OBEs and all the things that you've seen right off the top. And we're going to get to the Loosh pipes. We're going to get to all that stuff. You mentioned the system going to Saturn. And I think that's discussed in other books as well, that Saturn is some sort of energy receptor, or it's a big part of the operation. But we're going to get back to that. But first of all, in your OBEs, you've mentioned all these different layers or realms that you've gone to. Have you ever been able to, from your understanding or estimation, leave the matrix?
No.
Okay. And have you tried?
I have tried, and I believe I came close. And the reason I say that is because when I came out, it was like I was covered in this gray, like a sheet, some sort of a covering. So I'm thinking like, what the heck, you know? And the moment I stuck my hand out, I could feel an electric shock. And so I moved my hand back. I was like, okay, well, apparently I can't go any further than this, wherever that was. But at that time, I was trying. I did try to get out, you know.
And that was only one time you tried?
I tried twice.
Tried twice?
Things. Yeah. But then after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to assume I'm just not supposed to be in this area, energetically speaking. But eventually I'll be. I do believe that if I was not attached to this body, I probably could have, because I felt it in this. My body was like okay.
I was just gonna say that again. I'm just theorizing, but maybe it's because of that. But that's interesting. So you've gone from your understanding, you may have gone to the edge or that some sort of an envelope and almost gone through it. That's pretty interesting. As you were approaching that border, were you visited or approached by any entities that tried to get you away?
No.
Is it now that you feel like you trust yourself? And maybe I remember you mentioned the fight. There was that entity that you said you poked him in the eyes and he went away. Do you think now, since it's sort of been established that you're not going to be fooled or manipulated, do the entities more or less leave you alone?
They don't leave me alone, but it's for another reason. I tend to wake other souls up. Okay. Whenever I come around, it's not like I'm trying to do anything, but my vibrations at this point has increased. So when I come out of the body, it's just like I noticed that I now have a covering over me as well, like this, I guess metallic something or other. I don't make a point to cover myself, but my inner self just does it. Like when I come out, it's there. Like sometimes I have a backpack on. I don't even know why I have a backpack on. It's not like I thought about having one. It's just there. Okay. So I just chalk it up to, okay, well, maybe it's my inner self that knows I need this or whatever. So anyways, it covers up the spark itself, which supposedly stops me from bleeding, my energies from just bleeding out into the open, and it also kind of cloaks me to some degree.
Okay.
But it doesn't use now. It doesn't really take long before I ping the powers that be, and then they're after me like, hey, get out. They don't really want me in.
But can they actually get you out, or are you able to maybe via free will or thought energy? Are you able to say, you guys go away, I can stay?
Lately, it's been my choice, but they'll do things that'll make you just, ooh, let me go back to my body, that kind of stuff. They'll try you with the fear. They've tried with the fear before. As my latest video, I talked about that when I saw this. I'd never seen goblin ghouls type stuff outside of the little zombie in Focus 23, I believe it was, in the flat area. But this lady was like a phantom chick. She started off just looked regular at first. And then when I called myself just bursting on the scenes, because I was just, I don't know why I was so dramatic with it. I just went, I burst out and I twirled in the air like, whew. And so she got up, flew towards me, but she turned into this old hag looking lady, white eyes, just white, but she had this yellowish, greenish, slightly highlight mucus colored all over. She looked like a monster essentially. And then I was just kind of like, get out of my field. I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't like terrified because if when you become scared, they're able to then get a hook. And when I say a hook, attached to get some of your energy essentially.
Okay.
So, and then you'll end up feeling, just weak. Sometimes you'll wake up feeling drained, that kind of thing. That doesn't happen to me. But she literally just pushed me, and I'm like, get out of my field. So and this big voice just came out, get out of my field. But she kept pushing me. So I was like, okay, so that command didn't work. But I did end up going back to my body at a certain point. Now I was trying to go to Focus 27, which is, the rest area with all the other souls, whatnot. But they're basically about to be reincarnated again as well. But they, Focus 27 is supposed to be an area where souls get to create their own little areas, and it's a nice little area. But they do have the ability to stop you from going. No, they can't just stop me from having an out-of-body experience unless I would say agree to whatever they're putting out there. So let's say if I really legitimately got scared, then I would not have been able to come back until I got over that fear. But that's because of an energetic, that's resonance. That's the law of resonance.
Okay.
But yeah, they try to, but they ain't.
So it's not, so it's not an actual barrier or barricade that they can erect. It's really coming from
like
yourself.
In that case, yes, I would be the one to stop me. But don't get me wrong, they are security bots, but you it's not like you're going to be able to just say command it and it'll be, that's not how that works.
Okay.
It's like screaming at a computer screen.
Fair enough. Now, you mentioned, you tried to get out of the Matrix twice. You weren't able to get out. But this begs the larger question, and this is one of the biggest questions on the channel. When we pass on and we see the light, how do we, and actually you've talked about, I think, how you avoid the light, but then also if you get sucked in, you could potentially escape. But just how in your estimation, from what you've learned and uncovered, how do we escape?
You simply you don't have to go towards the light. And the only reason why some people felt like they're pulled, it's because it's called a toroidal field. It's some sort of an attachment, interference of some sort, a belief system. Usually it'll pull you. That's how that typically works. But even if you do go to the light, it's kind of like, okay, I know what I'm going to expect. I'm going to expect to be love bombed. The only problem is if you are a person that have the chakras fully open and all of that, and you are just, you have some sort of belief system or whatever, then expect them to love bomb you, but you will become compliant. And they do have the ability to try to wipe your memories as well. Now, I'm not sure exactly when that happens, but I'm going to find out. But I believe the memory wipe occurs after you've had a chance to go through the whole life review thing. Okay. But if you go through the life review, it's kind of like you're still buying into the system. And that's a belief system. That's an attachment. And you just go, it feeds into itself. So it would behoove everyone just to turn away from the light and just, no, I'm not going.
I think a big theme that keeps coming up is, what is this contract? What is this consent? And I think a lot of us maybe would think, incorrectly so, that, oh, they actually need you to sign on a dotted line that says, yes, I want you to wipe my memory. Yes, I want you to, but it's not. I think the larger theme here is what you're saying is every little bit of compliance, even if it's not related to a memory wipe, it's not related to reincarnation, every bit of compliance is effectively a contract and is allowing them to then manipulate you in maybe ways that haven't been explicitly discussed. Is that fair to say?
Correct. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. They literally could just say, hey, come here. And if you follow contract.
Right. Yeah. This is a huge takeaway. And this is what I was saying, guys. We're going to be going through some major nuggets and revelations. This is something, by the way. Okay, look, I haven't had the experience that you have. I haven't had the OBEs. I've just been studying this material as much as I can for the last several months. But this is something that I was thinking of independently as well, that just these little bits of, they say jump and you say how high, those little bits of compliance are some sort of you agreeing to a contract, or you giving consent for them to then do other things. So that's another big message, and correct me if I'm wrong, but just don't do it. Just turn away. Just trust in yourself. As you said, don't trust in any other entities. And ultimately, I think you'd agree with me here, not just don't trust for the sake of not trusting. Also, you don't need to. I think that's your big message, is you have the power and the spark within you. Is that fair to say?
That is exactly right. That is exactly right. So like the ego of like what I am right now in the waking life and the me in the astral plane, it's, although we are separate, we are the same, but it's like, it's so different. When she asked me for my email address, I could not remember. And it was because the inner self was like, no, it just did not allow me. So it knows certain things that I don't know. Because if I was sitting up there thinking, ooh, what's my email address, ready to give, and I could not for the life of me recall any of them. And another time, another guy called himself, he carried me, I was another guide, but he was essentially a bot too, but he called himself bringing me to some area to find my family. He said, hey, go, your family's right through that door. And I was like, my family? Now, at that point, I was already skeptical about anybody just wearing straight up black or dark brown, because they wear those colors to help protect the hologram itself, especially if you are extremely energetic. So it'll kind of nullify some of the energy. But that's okay. That's a whole other topic for another time. So he's telling me to go through this door, and I look like, okay. But then I walked towards the door, and then I went right back to my body. And that was another thing. Inner self was just like, because I was stable. I was no reason why I should have not have been able to stay out. And so when I came back to my body, I was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. So I was learning, in real time. So it's pretty cool though. Yeah.
Now, you may not know the answer to this, and if you don't, that's fine. I'd just love to hear your thoughts or what you think is the case. But let's say we avoid the light or go into it either way. But either way, we're able to eventually say, I want to go home. We get out of there and we exit the matrix. In your estimation, what does existence look like then beyond the matrix?
That is an excellent question, and I would probably know it once I get my memories back. I just know that it ain't reincarnating or turning
Okay.
back into a baby.
Fair enough. Fair
I would
enough.
what I would think is that I would be able to create my own space,
Hmm.
outside within the fifth dimension or something. Like just create my own planet or whatever, a Tony's world.
Sure.
No, no.
Choose your own adventure is how some people have
Yeah,
described it. I think
yeah.
that's kind of how Jason Giorgiani, I don't know if he said those exact words, but something along those lines. Intuitive Underground said something similar. And when you listen to pre-birth memories, this is something that I've been researching a lot lately. I think that that's going to have a lot of very good insights into what existence is outside. I recently did a video on these two gentlemen, Harold and Seth, and they talk about
Mhm.
their pre-birth memory. So hopefully all this information will eventually come together and start to illuminate the truth of what is beyond. Now,
Mhm.
let's get back to something that I touched upon earlier, because this really stood out to me. This idea of, well, not only Loosh, but the Loosh pipes that you've seen. But first of all, let's start at the basics for people who might be new to a lot of these concepts. What the heck is Loosh?
It's essentially emotional energy. And so anytime somebody is sad or happy and then all of a sudden they get depressed and all that, that on the pendulum, essentially, it creates friction between those two emotions, which causes loosh. So
And
it's emotional energy. That's what it
And
is.
what is, and so to walk us through, right? Robert Monroe, I think, is one of the first people to talk about Loosh and this emotional energy being utilized by outside forces. You've also touched upon Loosh maybe being used to power the system and power the matrix. You're not the only one. Other people have said this as well. So how is Loosh used or extracted by the bureaucracy, the powers that be?
So again, through them chakras, that's the thing. And they can it's like two-way from what I understand. It's you can give out energy and they can also make you feel a certain kind of way as well. So they can put energy back towards you as well.
Mhm.
But the pipes are they just simply carry the energy to, I don't know only where. I'm assuming it's probably Saturn or the upper parts of the astral plane, and possibly even the astral plane in and of itself, like heaven and all of those. That is, well, you're living off of loose. That's the energy that's needed in order to uphold that beautiful place.
Do we have unlimited amounts of Loosh to give off?
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting too, because also Intuitive Underground has said that soul power, soul energy is from us and it powers everything. And then so effectively we're in a limitless energy supply, which should tell you something positive about yourself,
Mhm.
that just how powerful we are. Now, going back to the Loosh pipes, you saw these pipes, but how did you know that they were Loosh pipes in your estimation?
Well, it's two things. I noticed the colors, and I was thinking, okay, well, what the white stands for something, and red, and I saw black as well. So then I went into, and this was before I knew of the term loosh. I went into, I asked Google AI, like, okay, I'm seeing these pipes around here. What the heck are they? And that's the first thing that came up was, okay, it's most likely going to be the pipes are
Hmm.
used for to carry the loosh. And then
Wow.
I started reading the last book of Robert Monroe, or second book, sorry, and
Mhm.
then he talks about loosh. And as a matter of fact, I think it was your channel that you mentioned loosh. I think it might have been you that might
Okay.
have heard it some time ago, a long time ago. But
Okay.
yeah, and I was like, what the heck is loosh? And yeah, so that's basically it.
It's interesting, but I don't think other people have been able to see the pipes in particular. Why do you think you're able to see them and others aren't?
So that has to do with the source spark. It illuminates it all. Now, of course, to me, it looks, I can just see it. Like the pipes were around the entire area. So what were they for? Why do you have this big playground looking area and then around it you have these pipes, these big pipes. And of course you have these other entities that are just there. Some of them have jagged teeth. They just flash their teeth at me, I guess. I'm assuming they tried to scare me, but regardless, they're there for certain reasons, and they're in certain colors for certain reasons. Yellow, of course, self-awareness, that type of stuff. You're giving off Loosh all of the time, and even the souls within that area are giving off energy too. So that energy has to go somewhere. It has to be collected in some kind of way, and that's essentially the way it comes across. I'm just thinking that because my soul source spark, it shines like through my eyes, and I can, it like literally look like flashlight sometimes when it's really, really dark. But I can see it all. It's like reveals it all.
Got it. So maybe there's something to this idea that's unique about you because you don't have the chakras. That light just comes out and you're able to see things that others.
I can just see it. As a matter of fact, the area where I saw that monster and I put the fingers in his eyes, there was a huge machine. I could see the machine that created the food. Now I know all of those other entities, where those other souls are just probably thought it was just a restaurant and all of that, but I could literally see it all, and so I knew something was different. I'm a source seed. So yay.
But talking about that realm, okay, we're going a little bit because I want to. There's something else that I want to ask about Loosh, but you did mention the restaurant. Do you think, because my theory was when you described that area where there's a hotel or apartment complexes, and it sounded very similar to Earth. There's food that you're eating, which is insane because you don't need food in the astral with your energy body. Do you think all of that was just meant to keep people, you talked about attachments, was just meant to keep people attached to Earth so that they're more ready to and willing to be incarnated again?
Well, the way it seems now, and I could be wrong, but the way it seems, whenever we transition, most people that transition don't even realize that they're dead. And what you don't want is a soul that is frantic and just like, and because they're probably just going to say no to everything. Don't touch me, just get away, And so you don't want that. Otherwise, because you won't get the resonance. So they try to ease you in to what the truth of what's going on by having places that look just like Earth. Some people, the eating is just a part of our life, how we've always been, we've always lived on Earth. Therefore, they're going to have food and stuff there too. I think that's how it works.
Now, you've mentioned these Loosh pipes in the astral. I think you also mentioned an area where it seemed like they were extracting Loosh in the astral as well. And again, you may not know the answer to this, but in your estimation, do you believe more Loosh is extracted on Earth or in the astral?
Ooh, that is a good question. I'm going to say probably on Earth. Why? Because of the pendulum, the range of emotions that we have here. And I mean, we feel it, and we make decisions based on emotions as well, even decisions on other people. So it's like we're constantly in like a back and forth, happy, sad, whatever, even between each other. So, but when you're out of the body, the only thing they can do is keep you in a loop of some sort to make you feel a certain kind of way. But there is not, I don't think that there's the range of emotions out once you pass away, as you would on Earth.
Fair enough. Yeah. And it almost feels as though on Earth, things are literally, it's built into the physical design. It's built into the food chain. It's built into all of these elements, our emotional swings, our biology, our chemistry. It's built into it that you're just constantly swinging on the pendulum, which is maybe exactly why it's designed that way. Okay. I wanted to jump in to some other things that you've mentioned in some other videos. I believe you made these comments, which I'm about to bring up now, in regards to Rachel Corpus, who has had a really vivid NDE. I actually interviewed her on the channel. And look, with everybody that I'm interviewing, I think the way that I like to think about it is hopefully everybody has something of value to share, but they may not be right about everything that they're saying. And that's not even necessarily their own fault. It's just, there's so much manipulation that we have to contend with. And there's so many things that are trying to deceive us. So it's just so difficult to be spot on about everything. Nevertheless, so she came on, and one of the things that she mentioned in her NDE was that she believes she's an angel. And I think this raised a red flag for you. Can you tell me why you immediately felt this way, that, wait a minute, she's saying she is an angel, that's a red flag? Like, why was that such a red flag for you?
So first off, angels don't have a soul spark or at all. That's one thing. But if you are saying that you are an angel, that means you've already decided, you've gone along with it. There you go. There's an attachment towards that in and of itself as a belief system. Yes. And so anybody that says that, I'm good. So
I get that.
Yeah, I can't trust what's said. As Sweden, she's a sweetheart. I mean, I watched it, and you know, it has nothing to do with her as a person. Sure. But anytime you can come back to your body because you don't want nobody else to raise your kids. Now I watched the other video with her talking about that, why she decided to come back into the pod.
Yes.
It's an attachment. And that's one of the things that you can't have unless you want to be reincarnated. So there's nothing she can really say to me that's going to help me to understand how to come leave. She don't know how to come leave either.
Okay, now I get it. Yeah, so it's kind of those two things together that are showing maybe that she has attachment, so she's open to manipulation. Therefore, we have to be very careful in the testimony. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. But now, that being said, and I think I've even mentioned this in the breakdown that, yeah, perhaps she was manipulated in certain ways, and she may not even know that. But let's go back to still some of the things that she saw, because I think you also disagree that there's any merit. Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Actually, what are your thoughts on what she observed in terms of us being in pods on a sort of base reality? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Gotcha. I believe she saw what she saw.
Okay.
Now, the reason is because it seems like a lot of people just simply aren't believing the old stories about if you go to heaven and hell, you know, the Christian belief and all of that stuff anymore. It's like they're not getting anywhere with people anymore. So now we got to come up with another thing to believe.
Got it.
So chances are they probably did create some big area, you know, use a part of the astral plane to create something for her. And there go when she tells everybody else, well, if everybody else starts to believe it, they are in fact helping that consensus reality. They are energizing it. So it probably does exist, but it's not the base reality. That's just
interesting. So we also have Intuitive Underground saying the same thing, that they remote viewed an area like this. So you're saying the explanation for this could be, or very well in your estimation is, that this has been created, this area has been created, and maybe they have these pods set up in a way to make us think that this is truly the base reality where we're coming from, but it's just an illusion, is what you think.
Right. And think about it. Somebody saying that they're an angel. Who's not going to believe an angel?
Right.
So it's like a loop, rinse and repeat. And there's many people that really believe that that's base reality. They have bought into it, and it's energizing that they don't even need to use their own energy anymore. They're using the beliefs of others.
You know what's so great about you saying this is that because I don't like the base reality narrative. Now that doesn't mean that's a basis for which we can dismiss it, you know, just because we don't like it and it's unpleasant. But you know, it just felt too much. Then it just felt like we were in this Russian doll nesting thing of reality within a reality. Where does it stop? It's kind of so crazy. But this is interesting. And so that's your consensus, is that it's just some sort of another construct in the astral. By the way, have you seen this area this all makes sense too, because she was in the astral when she went to base reality, so it could have been a zone within the astral. Sorry, I went off on a tangent just now, but that did click for me. But yeah, so you're saying you've never seen this area yourself? Okay.
No.
Have you tried
I believe They would not want me in that area. And
Okay.
I'm gonna say I've heard this term bendy, bendi, when I was trying to figure out who am I, because I'm Tony on earth, but who am I in the astral, whatever, in the spiritual. And I kept hearing this term bendy. Now, who gave me that? No clue, but I just heard it in my mind. And so when I looked up what it means piercer or disruptor. So, and true enough, when I come out of my body, things just happen. I can create tornadoes and just literally disrupt the entire area. Souls become awakened, and I'm just walking by, that kind of stuff. And it's not to toot my own horn, but they don't want me in those areas because I could see what it is for real, on top of that.
Okay.
So they ain't not gonna.
Would you ever though try and because maybe they might want to stop you, but maybe they can't stop you. Would you ever try to have an OBE or an astral projection and force your way into one of those areas?
The thing is, I'm more interested in making sure I don't come back here. And because I already don't believe in that, it's kind of like,
what's the point? Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough. Totally fair enough. Okay, well, I'm so glad we talked about all this. Okay, we actually are getting close to the end of my massive list of questions.
Okay.
I have still a bit to go. But I didn't think we would actually be here this quickly. We're an hour and 16 minutes in, but I don't know. It just seems like I had such a long list. Okay, now this is a bit of an offshoot question, but I'd love to get your thoughts because this is something that I've been contemplating in a lot of my videos lately. The idea, you talk about the law of resonance, and I've been thinking about more and more about discernment, how important that probably is when we leave our bodies or when we say goodbye to this planet. And discernment, my contention, the more I'm researching and learning, seems to be tied directly with our level of integrity and truthfulness on this planet. Do you have any thoughts on this connection between being a truthful person, having integrity here, and then that bolstering your discernment for when we need it later on?
Well, I believe that a part of the reason why, I think we come here to learn certain things, at least to some degree. It's just that some stuff has happened to where beyond our control that is just causing us to keep having to come back. So if you're a person that's just deceitful all of the time, or maybe you need to come here and learn how to not be, because it's easy to be, to lie all the time when you're just the most powerful thing that there is, and without any repercussions. So I could see that.
Okay.
But outside of that, I don't like to say the 3D is necessary. Anyway, at least not in my not anymore. I think I've learned what I needed to learn.
Fair enough. And one thing that Harold and Seth, they talk about in the pre-birth memories, this just popped into my head. I'm curious, know your thoughts. They said on the other side or outside of the matrix from their pre-birth memories that there's entities or us or souls, soul sparks. We didn't have issues. We weren't negative. There was no, hey, some of these are bad, some of these are good. We were all good from their recollection. Do you have any thoughts on that? Have you seen anything that says to you, hey, really the negativity, the bad stuff, that's more of a product of the matrix than the souls, the souls themselves?
I would say the concept of good and evil is a construct. So bad could something, for example, if being conceited is considered bad here. Well, being conceited is absolutely wonderful for the soul. It raises the vibration, especially if you're not conceited at someone else's demise. You feel me? It's just you're confident in yourself and who you are. So the construct kind of had the good and evil stuff to begin with. But if there was no baseline for evil to begin with, naturally you wouldn't know what is bad or good, especially pre-birth. So you can say that you ain't good, there was always good. But if you took that same concept of the same issues that was going on outside of this 3D, and you brought that in and you weighed apples to oranges or apples to apples, well, it's possible that a decision that you made might have technically been considered bad. Okay. But really, it's all it's when it comes to this too, I just have to say, the pre-birth stuff, while I don't like to knock stuff down until I really have an understanding about it. The problem comes with this. If we have been coming to this planet many, 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 many times, it could be pre-birth between the time number 50 and 51, right, and not between time number 1 and now. You feel me? So it's hard I can't say that even they would know if it was the first time that they ever came into a body, and who knows, it may be, but it's just that stuff like that I try to, I guess you probably feel like I'm just knocking everybody down.
No, it's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I mean, I should have, obviously, but we talk about entities and manipulation, and we also have to think about what is a pre-birth memory really, and it could be a different thing to a different person. So that's actually something really important that I need to keep in mind as I continue researching those, because I've been on a little bit of a kick researching those lately. So no, I'm glad you said that. Okay, and as we get okay, here we go. Got 2 more that I want to, and then I want to close out on just kind of asking about where are you going from here. But as we continue on this life, right? You said you're focused on not coming back, which is totally fair. But do you have any advice for those of us who, sure, that's going to be our ultimate objective, absolutely, and obviously to each his own. Maybe some people are going to choose kind of whatever they want to choose, they can choose. But ultimately, let's say we want that same thing, but we also would like to enjoy our lives and make the most of them while we're here with connections and with people and with activities. Do you have any advice for people that want to balance those two or pursue both of those objectives?
It's definitely doable. I would say, please, by all means, enjoy your life, have your experiences, and even to some degree, I would say, you can love others and be kind and have somewhat of an attachment with regard to just relationships, things like that. But up to a certain point, the ultimate person in your life needs to be you, especially if it requires you to come out of your body. Please, by all means, do it so that you know that you truly are an energetic being and you're not this flesh. Therefore, you're able to make a distinction between the two. This is the avatar having a relationship. And, because truth be told, people that you're closest to, 9 times out of 10, you've reincarnated with them before. It's just in a different way. Like your friend today might have been your mom in a previous life. You see, so it's just we're just wearing different suits. But ultimately it's about you coming into the fullness of yourself, all of the aspects of yourself. It's a personal, individualized journey. And a part of that is, making connections and things like that, enjoy yourself. Nobody said you can't.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. And we haven't circled back to Monroe, but let's do it right now. I'm going to Monroe tomorrow as we're recording this. As we're recording this right now, who knows? Maybe I'm going to release this today because I'm so excited about the interview. I very well might. Sometimes I can't wait because it's just like, oh my God, so much good information. So let's say I'm going to Monroe tomorrow. Here we go. Gateway Voyage. Do you have any advice for me?
Ooh. See, I've never done Gateway. I would love to go, but
but you've done the Gateway tapes.
I've done the Gateway tapes. You are I'm pretty sure you're gonna be in for an experience. I will say though that be patient with yourself. Okay. It's not a one and done. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I had to listen a few times. Now I didn't have the what is it, the little machine, the sensory deprivation tanks and all that. I didn't do all of that because I don't have that.
Yes.
But that should help you. It really should help. But just stay calm and stay calm. I'd say avoid caffeine and drinks, energy drinks.
So I'm drinking. So you know what's funny? I actually mostly quit coffee back in December. I've had it occasionally. I traveled all day on Friday and then Saturday. I traveled back from. I was in Europe, and so I traveled all back, and so I'm still getting settled in. I wanted to just be sharp for this interview.
Oh no, yeah, so, you do you, but
no, but this is going to be my last bit of caffeine, so I'm going to have it right now, and just to stay on point. But no, I'm going to be off of caffeine for sure all next week, and hopefully the half-life will be good by the time I go to bed and wake up tomorrow. It should be out of my system. And let's end on this. So now you've have all these out of bodies. You say you aim to have 1 to 2 a week. Your main objective is to ultimately escape. But what are your plans? You've got the YouTube channel, Insights with Tony. I'll link that, by the way, in the description. People should all check this out because you continue to share thoughts and ideas and experiences. But what is, while you're here, what do you think is going to be your objective going forward? Is it going to be to just illuminate the minds of people to help others escape, or what are you?
That is the ultimate goal now. At first, it was just kind of sharing my out of body experience. I was so excited because when it happened, it happened. But now, with my template, just who I am, I'm able to do certain things that I know other people just simply it's going to be more difficult. Not that you couldn't do it. But it does take a little bit more practice for some people. But I can kind of show what's going on. I can share it, and we can help others, help everybody. Look, these are the number 1, 2, 3. You do these 3 things or 4 things, and boom, you shouldn't have too many issues, if any at all, leaving this place, unless you just want to come back.
Sure.
That's
okay. Yeah. But that's amazing, and that's obviously such a noble thing that you're going to be working on. And look, I want to keep making content. I want to keep spreading the word. So I think we're in alignment there. Hopefully, in a week, if we talk again, I'll be on the other side in terms of the OBEs, and I can say, hey, I've had one too. That's my goal and that's my objective. I'm going to do everything I can this week to just achieve that end. And if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep trying afterwards. So this will be either way. This is going to be, I think, a great first step. Anyways, Tony, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me today. I knew this was going to be a great interview. It was incredible. Definitely delivered. And hopefully people enjoyed as well. I'd love for people to comment in the comment section. If you guys have more questions, you can also go to Tony's YouTube channel, maybe show him some support in the comment section there as well. If people want to reach out to you in any way, is there anything that you recommend?
Well, my email address, of course, I'm just getting my P.O. box together. So people want to send something like that. Also, I'll be finally doing lives. But that's going to come within the next couple of weeks or so. But I'm slowly but surely, I'm an old teacher now. Y'all gonna have to I'm new to this, the technology thing for the most part. So I'm watching you pump those videos out like every day. I'm like, geez,
I know
that's what's up. I'm working up there. I'm working towards where your level. But
they say it's my ex-girlfriend said I have one of the most severe cases of ADHD she's ever seen. And sometimes with ADHD, you hyper fixate on things. And I think that's the story of my life. I get really into something and I just go at 100 miles per hour. So, yeah. But hey, if this is the biggest question, in my opinion, that we should be striving for to answer. So why not both of us just go full speed ahead? And hopefully,
agreed.
So, yeah,
I'm gonna do what I can.
Exactly. All right. Well, and I think that email is insightswithtony@gmail.com. Is that right?
It's Tony@insightswithtony.com.
Oh, Oh, my bad. Okay. All right. So, guys, there's all the information. You can reach out to Tony. Thank you guys so much for joining. Once again, it's the community that has been really pushing along this channel and making this channel what it is. And just so you know, after Monroe, I'm going to be doing a live stream. We're going to catch up on everything. We're going to be talking about the entire experience. It's going to be crazy. And the whole thing, as I mentioned, is being filmed. We had the documentary team actually reach out to us just today as we're one day away of letting us know right when we get there. I think they're going to be filming us, which is wild because I've never been in a situation like this. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be, I'll be able to tune out the cameras, I think, right away. But it's just going to be a wild experience. So anyways, look forward to all this. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.